Get started. Hey everyone, thanks for being here. This is the Origin Community Call. It's a beautiful day in the Bay Area. I'm glad to be back here. It's been a while since since I was. Uh-oh. I'm gonna mute somebody. If you want to unmute and your server muted, just let us know and we'll give you a chance to talk. Frank, are you not hearing me? So anyway, yeah, I'm happy to be back in the Bay Area. First time in a while. We used to have our office here in San Francisco, but had to shut that down a couple years ago. But it's been great to meet up with several people on the team, at least one or two of which I had never met in person before, even after many years. It's been a good past week, and looking forward to this one being just as good. We have a special guest today, kind of like we did last week. Another sort of OG project that we've been acquainted with for a long time, but Shapeshift has been doing something a little bit different lately, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that is and how it's going. Learning more about how OUSD might be able to play into plans for Shapeshift and vice versa. And then we'll get into our normal topics on OUSD, including the impending launch of our on-chain governance dApp, any other launches that are sprint priorities right now. We will touch on governance proposals as usual, have a little bit of time near the end for introductions. And then I wanted to talk for a minute about this meeting itself, maybe when we get to the end in 30 or 45 minutes, and talk about where we go from here. So before we do all of that, let's see if we've got any announcements or thanks to offer to anyone who's made contributions over the past week. And hopefully Frank is back in. Can you hear us now, Frank? Maybe not. It looks like he might have dropped off again. That's okay. We wait for no one. So let's see if I've got a couple of announcements on the agenda. Of course, you can follow along in the chat here on the right-hand side of Discord. The first announcement is that we would like to welcome Derek to the team. This is really exciting. Derek has been probably one of the most active and engaged members of our community for like a year now. He was involved in the shift for us from our curve strategy to our convex strategy, and has weighed in on a bunch of other meaningful decisions that we've made for OUSD over the past year. So Derek's joined the team last week as senior product manager on OUSD, and we'll be working initially on building a framework for how we assess opportunities to get additional yield for OUSD, and then build strategies around those. So incredibly excited for Derek to be here. Derek, did you want to add anything or say hi?
No, but I mean, obviously, thank you again for this amazing opportunity. I'm excited to be a part of the team officially, and yeah, I'm already getting to work. You're hopefully going to see a lot of new things coming out around how we're going to get the APY higher for OUSD and build this into a $1 billion stablecoin.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. I know others are as well. And yeah, it kind of feels like you're already part of the family. So really happy to make it official. Frank, I hope you can hear us now. I think I had one other announcement that I wanted to include. Yeah, Daniel was in the Bay Area this past weekend, and he ended up doing an impromptu presentation, speaking at a DeFi security conference. Hopefully we'll get a video recording of that pretty soon, and we'll share that. But I know that went over really well. There were people on Twitter talking about his talk. So congratulations to Daniel, and thanks to him for representing Origin at that conference. And I think he opened some eyes as to how you assess an exploit after something happens, and made a lot of great contributions to that conference.
Yeah, that was a great conference actually. I'll share some of my notes. I haven't had time to do that, but there were some great presenters from the biggest security firms and largest protocols. So we had talks from folks at Compound, Aave. We had security firms like OpenZeppelin, Chain Security, Trade-off Bits. I mean, the largest projects out there. So that was super interesting. Daniel did a great job on his talk. So proud to have such a great team.
Anybody else have any announcements or anything to add? Okay. Well, I think we should jump into the agenda now. Want to welcome Willie Fox from Shapeshift. If you'd like to kind of introduce yourself, tell us what you do at Shapeshift, and then jump into a demo if you're ready.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Micah. Jim, Origin fam. My name's Willie. I am now head of decentralization for the Fox Foundation. Before, I was principal product manager at Shapeshift when we were a centralized organization. So excited to tell you guys a bit about Shapeshift's history. We've got quite an extensive history similar to Origin, and kind of show you guys what we're focused on now as a DAO, and where there might be some opportunity for Origin and Shapeshift to integrate and work together. So I'll try to consolidate 8 years of history into just a minute here for anyone who's not familiar with Shapeshift and has never heard about us. We first started back in 2014. We were launched by Eric Voorhees. If any of you guys are familiar with him, he started Shapeshift right after Mt. Gox was hacked, and he created the first way for crypto to be traded non-custodially. So if anyone's familiar with Mt. Gox, it was like 80% of all Bitcoin was getting traded on this one centralized exchange, and it got hacked. And people learned the lesson the first time the hard way, that if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. So Shapeshift was created so that people could trade from their own wallet without giving up custody. And it very quickly became the most popular way for crypto to be traded from wallets. And one of the things people really loved about Shapeshift at the time was that there was no account required. You could just come in, say, hey, I want to trade Bitcoin for Litecoin. We'd give you an address to send Bitcoin to. You'd give us an address to send Litecoin to. And we kind of called it similar to a vending machine, where there's only one split second where you have to trust that the vending machine is going to actually give you the soda that you put money in for. So that was very popular until 2018, when the regulations had evolved and crypto was starting to be treated like money. We came to the conclusion that we had to implement KYC in order to continue operating in the United States. And that really crushed our exchange business. We lost a lot of our trade volume, and we, at that time, pivoted, and we like to say we shapeshifted, and we started focusing on, in addition to the trading engine, building kind of a full platform, initially focused on the KeepKey hardware wallet, which is a hardware wallet that Shapeshift owned, where you could basically buy, sell, trade, manage your whole crypto portfolio all in one place. We expanded support to Ledger and Trezor, and eventually some software wallets. We acquired Portis, which is like a MetaMask competitor, and used their tech to enable users to create a native wallet in our mobile app with email and password. And fast forward to around 2020, when we had launched this mobile app, and we saw the proliferation of DeFi, particularly Uniswap, really impressed us. And we realized that Uniswap was basically achieving the original Shapeshift vision of enabling users to easily trade one asset for another without giving up custody, even better than we were. We recognized that we had kind of lost that trading battle. So we embraced the innovation. We integrated 0x to aggregate all the Ethereum dexes in early 2021. And then in April 2021, we integrated Thorchain the day that they launched mainnet to enable cross-chain trading. And that day we sunset our own trading engine, and we stopped requiring KYC from our users. It was a very exciting day at the Shapeshift offices. And then a couple months later, in July, we announced that we were fully decentralizing, and we launched the DAO. We did an airdrop to over 1 million different addresses. And we started the 6-month process to wind down the centralized organization and basically transition all of the operations over to the DAO and to the foundation, which is where I work. Foundation is basically a small team dedicated to supporting the DAO and achieving full decentralization. And we're mainly responsible for maintaining all the legacy centralized infrastructure and IP, while also supporting the DAO and developing decentralized alternatives. So that's a bit about Shapeshift's history. I'm really excited to show you now what the DAO is focused on. This new application, which is completely open source, it's completely free, and it's architected to be completely decentralized. So the front end is already hosted on IPFS, and we have ENS routing set up, and we're working with Coinbase Cloud to decentralize the back end, which is purely just blockchain data. So when you use this new open source app, which I'll show you guys now, it is just a interface between your keys and the blockchain and decentralized protocols. So it's an open source front end that anybody can run. And right now we are running the node infrastructure to give users all the blockchain data that they need to be able to interact with these protocols. And while we're also working with Coinbase Cloud on Foxchain. And when Foxchain is complete, that will basically incentivize node operators to run the nodes and provide blockchain data to the end users, both for Shapeshift as well as any interface that really wants to be decentralized and not just rely on Infura. So our vision with this new app, we really want it to be the ultimate interface to the decentralized universe. And in order to do that, we believe that it should be totally free, open source, community-owned, non-custodial, private, and even decentralized. And we're focused on supporting all the wallets, all the chains, and all the protocols. So that basically we think that's necessary for users and the masses to be able to access this decentralized universe. There's so many amazing protocols out there, such as Origin, but in order for those protocols to get mass adoption, the interfaces to access and interact with those protocols needs to be decentralized themselves. So you can see here we support a number of different wallets, including Wallet Connect and also the Shapeshift wallet, which is a software wallet that you can really easily create or import, and it's multi-chain. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Shapeshift software wallet. And here you can see the dashboard. And what's unique about this dashboard is that, again, it supports multiple different chains. So you can see Ethereum assets here, Cosmos assets, UTXO assets like Doge, Bitcoin, Litecoin, all in one interface. And again, we're focused on supporting all the chains. So we've really focused on building this in a way where a lot of the nuances and complexity between chains is abstracted. So it's very easy to add new chains. And we already have support for all these chains and many more chains coming soon. We also have this trade modal. Soon we'll have a page dedicated to trade. And what's interesting about this is that we're not just supporting all the Ethereum assets, but also soon we'll have Osmosis integrated for trading Cosmos IBC assets, as well as Thorchain for trading across chain. So you kind of get the idea here that we're really focused on aggregating all these different protocols into one easy to use interface that looks a lot like Uniswap, but it supports a huge number of DEXs and different even cross-chain protocols. So this is our dashboard. We also have the DeFi section. I think this is where we'd like to see Origin integrated. So you can see an overview of all your different DeFi positions. Again, this isn't just Ethereum assets, but also includes Cosmos staking. Soon we'll have Thorchain liquidity providing and Osmosis liquidity providing. And here you can explore different opportunities. And again, you can see all these different opportunities with a nice little overview and a really smooth flow for managing and depositing and withdrawing and claiming your rewards. Really our focus here is to try and create the best UI UX for all of these kind of popular categories of DeFi and aggregate protocols, because a lot of protocols do share very similar core UI UX. Oftentimes they're even forks of each other. But there are some nuances. So kind of our focus is how can we aggregate all these protocols into one easy to use interface that feels very similar, but also handles all the various nuances that you might find. We can go ahead and let's just do an example here. We'll claim some Cosmos from this validator. That's done. And then we can delegate some more. You can see how easy it is. Done. Cosmos is especially nice because it's got the low fees. So this is an overview of what we have right now. We are a couple months away from being able to sunset the legacy version of Shapeshift, beta.shapeshift.com, and migrate all the users from our legacy web app and our legacy mobile app over to this new version. So this will also be available in the App Store on Android and iOS. This whole interface is totally responsive and works great on mobile. So we've designed it as a progressive web app, so we'll be able to just focus on one code base that will work great, not just on mobile browsers, but even in a native mobile app. And some of the things that we're focused on over the next couple months is getting to parity with the legacy app. So features like ThorChain swapping, multiple asset accounts. We're in the final stretch of completing the features in this new version that we have in the legacy version so that we can smoothly migrate all of our users to this new open source app. And then some of the things I'm really excited about right now, you can see it's starting to get a little bit messy. Like on the DeFi page, we just have all of these opportunities and the list is getting pretty long. So we're really focused on making it easier for users to sort and filter through all these different protocols to find the best opportunities. Especially showing users like opportunities that they're eligible for based on the assets that they have in their wallet. And we kind of are taking an approach similar to the Zapper and Zerion, where we want to make sure that when you connect your wallet to Shapeshift, you see a comprehensive overview of all of the different assets that are in your wallet, whether they're in your wallet or whether you have DeFi positions across chains. So you can see a comprehensive view of your portfolio and really easily sort and filter so you can find what you're looking for. So we're excited to enable users to kind of sort and filter by asset. So for example, you could see, if you wanted to see your USDC positions across different protocols, different blockchains even, and even different accounts. But you could also filter it so that you could see kind of the protocol at the top level and then see the various assets and accounts and chains that you have positions within that protocol, as well as chain. Basically, every position breaks down to like a asset on a chain, on a protocol. But there's different ways to kind of sort and filter that. So we're currently focused on user testing this and optimizing this UI UX so that we can really try and build the best experience for managing your entire portfolio, including all of your various DeFi positions as things get more complex and move across chains. We've also got bridging coming, the ability for users to use dApps, advanced transaction settings, really trying to make, again, the ultimate interface. And we think that in order to achieve that, the ultimate interface to the decentralized universe, we're thinking from first principles. We think it needs to be open source, free, community owned, and decentralized itself. So it's a big mission, but we're just taking it one step at a time. And what we're really excited about is for protocols like Origin to be able to come integrate themselves, trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys to come either integrate yourselves, or if you prefer, put up a bounty, and then we can support finding community developers and give them the support they need to bring the feature to production.
Great.
I talked for a while. Does anyone have any questions or comments on Shapeshift?
Thanks, Willie. Anybody have a question to kick it off with?
I have a quick question, Willie. Thanks for your presentation. Super interesting. Where are you hosting the client? Are you hosting it on a centralized server, or is it on decentralized storage like IPFS?
Great question. So this front end, everything you're seeing here is hosted on IPFS. Right now, there's very minimal backend, and the backend right now is limited to the blockchain data for each of these chains that we support. So like things like, I didn't show you guys the fiat on and off ramping, but this is all, there's no server between you and these integrations. So anytime you see something on Shapeshift, it's either basically a third-party API that you're calling directly from the client, or it's blockchain data. And so Shapeshift, historically, we ran all the nodes for all the different chains we supported. We have an open source library called Unchained that handles this and abstracts a lot of the complexity away from the front end. Currently, the Fox Foundation is running one of the instances of Unchained, and then we also have an instance run by the community. This is kind of the big final boss for us to be able to fully decentralize this application. And so we're working with Coinbase Cloud on Fox Chain, and Fox Chain is going to be a Cosmos zone, which will basically, the purpose of it will be to incentivize node operators to run nodes for all the different blockchains that we support and that other interfaces request as well. And it'll be what we use. We'll basically replace the centralized servers that are currently providing this blockchain data with Fox Chain, which will enable anybody to operate these nodes and get rewarded for it. And at that point, the app will be fully decentralized, fully unstoppable. And we're estimating Q2 2023 for the mainnet launch for Foxchain.
Can you talk a little bit more about any challenges that you've faced running like a fully decentralized front end? That's something that we've been thinking more about for our OUSD swap experience, because OUSD is really just a token. The product isn't necessarily the DApp, and so we're looking forward to integrating with other services like this.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely there were some challenges along the way, particularly related to like security concerns and making sure that if people are using a front end that's deployed on IPFS, they know it's the right front end and not some malicious front end that somebody else has deployed. And I don't know the full details around that, but if you guys have questions around that, I'm sure members of our community would be happy to kind of explain how we did that. I do know that Fleek helped a lot. And I think helped us figure out how to address that security concern. Also, there were just some challenges with initially the DAO itself was not able to kind of be the admin of the Fleek account that we use to actually deploy and handle all the routing. So they actually fixed that for us so that now our DAO was able to be the admin and can also pay for the Fleek expenses with crypto. So there were some challenges, but Fleek definitely helped us navigate a lot of those and even built some functionality so that we could actually have a fully decentralized front end that was owned and administrated by the DAO.
Very cool. Anyone else have questions for Willie? I just wanted to say, thanks again for being here, Willie. Thanks to Peter for helping, facilitate the introduction and continuing to build the relationship. I'm looking forward to digging deeper on the possible integration, and I know that it potentially goes beyond just OUSD being one of the DeFi options in the DApp. So looking forward to exploring all the different ways that it might come together.
Yes, thank you guys for having us. Really excited about a potential integration with OUSD and Shapeshift. One final thing that I'll say is that we're seeing a lot of different DeFi protocols that host their own interface blocking US users. And that is one advantage that we see with an integration with Shapeshift is that we intend to never restrict any users from accessing Shapeshift whatsoever. We don't feel the need to restrict based on IP. So if you guys are having those discussions internally and you do want to give US users access to your protocol, we're hoping to be a great solution for that.
Totally. Well, thanks again. And feel free to hang out if you want. But we appreciate you taking the time to show us what's going on at Shapeshift.
Thanks, Micah. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you. Let's jump into the rest of the agenda. We've got maybe 20 more minutes or so. We can try to keep it under an hour. The next topic that I had was checking in on our sprint progress. Of course, we have a new sprint starting this week, so we'll want to follow up on confirming what the priorities are for the next 2 weeks. But we've been talking about some of these projects for a while, so I wanted to see how close we are to the finish line on some of them. For on-chain governance, wanted to remind everyone that this is sort of the final call to identify any blockers that should prevent us from launching, any UX issues that are high priority. But we're gonna continue doing some testing there in the staging environment that Tom set up for us. We should now have the ability to get test OGV to be able to stake that, get VE-OGV voting power so that you can create proposals and vote on them in that staging environment. We will, Matt and I in particular, will be taking some notes on UX improvements that we can make and considerations for like a broader redesign since we just sort of pieced all this together, or Tom did for the most part. But anyway, like today, tomorrow is probably the last time to test that out. So if anyone needs test OGV, if you need the link to be able to access that environment, it's all in the OUSD engineering channel. And if somebody doesn't beat me to it, I'll link to Tom's post there. But basically, just message him if you need some test tokens. We also made a decision this weekend. Franck, thanks for the reminder. We had this open question on how to handle the voting delegation dilemma. There's a change we would need to make to the contracts for people to be able to vote without self-delegating, which involves an on-chain transaction. And we can get into the details if we need to, but long story short, we decided to hold off on making those contract changes, mainly because most OGV holders are interested in staking more than they are voting. And if we make this change, or when we make this change, it will cause gas costs to go up for everyone. So I think we probably will circle back and make these changes to the contracts, but not soon, not before launch, certainly not before launch. And it'll probably be a little while before we, try to increase the adoption or voter participation on the DApp. Anything that I missed there, Franck? Anything to add?
No, yeah, we should iron out the last. I mean, the self-delegate UX. I think we might need an extra little model or something. So maybe that's something that Matt and Tom Hurst can work together on, so that we are ready for a launch. And then Daniel is not. He's still traveling back from the conference today, but I'll follow up with him tomorrow. I think we should really accelerate the timelines for the launch. I think I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to deploy the final contract this week. So I'll follow up with Daniel on that. And we have the configurations, right? All the config parameters. I saw the GitHub issue. We're good, right, Micah? You finalized them with the team.
Yeah, I think the parameters are confirmed. Let me know if there are any open questions there. Unless somebody speaks up in the next 24 hours or less, then the DApp is ready to go. Again, that voter delegation UX improvement, we'll make sure that Matt has a chance to experience that and weigh in on it, but that shouldn't stop us from launching, I don't think. So let's go full speed ahead. I think the next thing to do is, like you said, deploy the contracts and then send a test proposal through and make sure everything
that's right
works as intended.
Yep.
Okay, good deal. If there's nothing else to discuss there, then I wanted to ask about the governance value accrual. So this is the automatic buyback of OGV that we would turn back on after pausing the OGN buyback a few months ago. You have any updates there, either Shahul or Franck? I don't think Shahul's here.
Yeah, I think we're a little light, on the engineering side today, on the USD side. But yeah, Shah made the code changes for the buyback, so it's a matter of deploying now, I believe. So let me follow up with Shah. I think he needs Daniel and my help to submit the proposal to deploy to hook up to basically point OUSD to the newly deployed OGV buyback contract.
Okay, so, and I had a note from last week that Daniel was going to write some tests or do some testing or something against Shahul's work. So might want to check with them on that.
Okay, yeah, I'll check. And then one thing also, Micah, that we need to iron out is the funds from the old buyback.
Yep.
I think you submitted a multi-sig transaction. We just need to execute that, or is there any discussion we need to have on that?
I'll follow up on it async. But
okay,
yeah,
awesome.
We need to take care of that one.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, so let's see. That brings us to marketing as another theme of the current sprint. What that pretty much means today is this website redesign that we're doing across the OUSD.com page, story.xyz, and also originprotocol.com, the corporate website. I think we're going in, inverse order from what I just said. So we're starting with the website, then story, then OUSD, or maybe a little bit in parallel there with different engineers working on different properties. But I wanted to see if there were is there anything blocking you, Roland, starting on the company website, or have you made any progress yet?
I don't think there's many blockers right now. It's just a basic outline for now. Yeah, hoping to have something a bit more solid for next week. It's just I mean, OUSD should be relatively blockerless, but the
Okay.
website might need a bit of rewrite before the marketing actually goes live. So
Gotcha.
yeah, there's that.
Are you referring to possibly changing the stack to be React based, or is that on the table?
Yeah, changing the website stack to React is an idea that I think is quite popular. Yeah, we've just been looking at kind of standardizing the whole development across all the dApps and the websites. So that would take priority first for the website because it's very different. And
Yeah.
yeah, once that gets done, we can do the marketing pages, I think.
So that rewrite would be blocking the OUSD redesign. Is that what we're thinking, Frank?
So two things, right? There is the originprotocol.com website. It's currently using a Python stack, and what we are looking at is migrating that to a React.js plus Next.js stack to standardize. And my understanding is originprotocol.com is the priority because it's so outdated right now. Separately, there is the OUSD.com redesign. And that's a lower priority, as I understand. And it's already on the stack that we feel comfortable with, React.js and Next.js.
Yep, that I agree with all that. I'm just curious what that means for like the timeline. Any ideas when we might get started on the OUSD redesign now if the company website involves a little bit of a rewrite?
I don't have a good sense of the timelines yet. Roland, how about do you want to figure this out and give us an update in the next weekly call?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the OUSD site itself wouldn't be that hard to do. It's just it's lower priority right now, right? So website is high priority.
Yeah. I was just more interested in like when we might get started on it. And I imagine that the charts, the data visualizations will be non-trivial when we get to it. Anyway, you can think about it, and then we'll check in async. Thanks for working on all of that. I'm certainly looking forward to cleaning up all three of those properties because they're outdated, as you mentioned. Frank, did you add this last bullet to the sprint check-in?
Yeah, so in terms of the OUSD meta strategy and the convex generalized strategy, so just to give you guys an update, what we're doing right now is Shah is writing a bunch of automated tests so that we can fully validate the new code. And I think he's making good progress. I'm going to check in with him. But the next step is, after that, the next step is for Daniel to take a second look at the code, a second pass at reviewing the code, and then we'll be deploying the new OUSD meta strategy, and put a little bit. We'll cap the amount of funds that we put in there, just to beta test it before we fully utilize it. In terms of timeline, I think just to confirm, Micah, I think like we should get the governance out first. And so Daniel basically has two things in his plate, right? He has the governance and he has the meta strategy. So I think we should finish the governance ASAP and then focus completely on new strategies.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Definitely agree. And one other thing I was going to say about that. I think we still need to. We may have agreed on the parameters for the meta strategy, what we're going to launch with, but we should reiterate those just to confirm. I think we settled on 50% OUSD and 50% 3CRV, but we should make sure that's the case. And then, as you mentioned, we'll gradually ramp up to it. We're not going to we're not going to allocate a bunch of collateral to it on day one. And in fact, on that topic, we were talking a few days ago about auditors that we're planning to work with on an ongoing basis. Where does MetaStrategy fit in with any upcoming audits that we might have scheduled?
Yeah, so I think that MetaStrategy and the generalized strategy, these are the two that we should audit next. Chatting with Daniel, we think that early October, if we can find an auditor available, would be a good date for doing the external audit of these strategies. I don't think it shouldn't block the launch. I think we feel pretty comfortable launching with again a gradual ramp up. So I'm trying to find auditors available. Right, I'm talking to OpenZeppelin, Diligence, Consensus Diligence, and Chain Security to see if they have a slot available in early October.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else that we should talk about that's a sprint priority, or any open questions, any blockers before we move on? On product design side, we're continuing to work on additional marketing pages. We'll have a real simple FAQ page that we'll add on to what Roland's going to work on. And then, of course, we've got our OGN token dashboard that's going to get a makeover along with the rest of the website. So we'll also do a corresponding OGV dashboard. And one thing I need to ask Jan about is whether he thinks we should incorporate, we've got this impending burn event that's going to happen in the coming weeks. And I'm wondering if we should incorporate that into the OGV dashboard or have like a separate page that's dedicated to just the burn. My concern there is that we don't have a whole lot of time to build anything that's dedicated to the burn. So that comes back to the question of when we'll actually get to the OUSD redesign. We might actually, if it's going to take a little while, I'm thinking out loud here, we might want to do the OGV dashboard page before we do all that other fancy stuff on the new OUSD homepage. Let me think about that, and I'll circle back on that with Frank and Roland after talking to Jan a little bit about it. Okay, we're running a little bit short on time, but we don't have much else to cover. Of course, we like to check in on the token support initiative, working with wallets and various lists to make sure they're supporting all of our various tokens. I think we had an update from Jeremy on that. You have one? Oh, Jeremy might have disappeared, actually. Yeah, I think he might be gone. Anyway, he and Roland worked together to get all of our tokens supported on Balancer, specifically OUSD, OGV, and wrapped OUSD. Wouldn't make any sense to have VE OGV supported on Balancer since it's non-transferable. But this is huge. I'm really excited about this. It's non-trivial to get your tokens whitelisted, so that if somebody just shows up to Balancer and wants to swap for OUSD, they don't have to do a custom import and all this stuff. So big thanks to Jeremy and Roland for making that happen. And thanks also to Andra, I believe, for helping get the ball rolling on that dialogue. Of course, there's a long tail of other wallets and lists that we want to get added to. So Peter and Jeremy will continue working on that, as well as starting to think about more engineering intensive and more meaningful integrations that we'll try to push on. So I'll check in with Jeremy on how that's going. Interrupt me if there are any other topics that you want to cover. We have a governance proposal that opens up tonight, and will be open for 2 days. Vote for how funds should be allocated across our 3 whitelisted strategies. That happens every week. I don't think there are any other governance proposals open right now, but we do have a few minutes if anyone wants to introduce themselves. If you have not been here before or just have not said hi, we'd love to hear who you are and how you ended up here, what you're excited about. And you should be able to unmute anytime, so just jump in, interrupt me if you want to. If you are server muted and unable to unmute, then you can just message me or drop a message in the chat on the right side. There's one other topic that I wanted to touch on real quick, and that is sort of a meta discussion about this meeting itself. We've had this dilemma for a while where we tend to max out the attendance on this meeting. Like for whatever reason, Discord limits us to roughly 25 people to be able to join us on this call. So we've talked about moving to something like Twitter Spaces or a different platform. We like doing it here in Discord, where our community already lives, where we already spend all of our time. And the really the main piece is that we like having the visual component, being able to do product demos or have some kind of visual aid during some sort of discussion around a different topic. But we also don't have a lot of time here in this hour to cover both OUSD and Story. The Story team has been doing like multiple Twitter Spaces every week, and they, their team is a little bit different than ours. Don't have the same sort of requirements for an open discussion like this. So I think what we'll do is we'll gradually evolve this call to be a little bit more of a raw, open meeting, less of a presentation, less of a broadcast of updates. It'd be great to get more engagement in this meeting, open it up and get more people involved. And I think what that naturally will mean is that it becomes a little bit more of a engineering and product focused meeting, and specifically within the context of OUSD. And then Story team will continue to do their thing on Twitter, where the NFT community really lives. They're not naturally or organically here in our Discord server. So if you have any thoughts on that, any comments, feel free to drop them in any one of our channels. And one other thing that I wanted to suggest there is that this doesn't have to be our only public meeting. This is a good opportunity for us to have something on the calendar every week and make sure we cover the relevant engineering and product discussions that we need to have. But I'm looking forward to having more spontaneous, impromptu public meetings in Discord. I'm thinking back to several months ago, Daniel just hopped into this voice channel and did like a live, code review, or I think he was doing like a when an exploit happened, he did a live investigation of a hack. So anyway, I think we should just do more of that. Next time Matt and I are working on a UX decision or working on some mock-ups, we should just hop into Discord and let other people be fly on the wall and get involved in the process. Anybody have anything else to talk about before we go, or any comments or questions about this meeting? I think it's been a good one. I did a little too much talking, so I'm looking forward to other people getting involved in the future. But excited again to have Derek here, and thanks everyone else for your contributions and for joining us today. Until next time, same place.
Good meeting. Thanks, Micah.